For the first time in 294 days, the Ball State Cardinals return home to Muncie, and they have a date with the New Hampshire Wildcats.
And Ball State has its first win of the Mike Uremovich era.
Nothing beats a victory Friday. The Ball State Cardinals, their first win of the season, and it's time for the Cardinal Kickoff. I'm Rowan Elbert, joined by Sam Klug, and it's finally that time. Ball State gets a win. Coach U's first win as the Cardinals head coach. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, 34-29 victory over New Hampshire, and it couldn't have come at a better place. At Schumann, with a packed house, 10,000 people in attendance for family weekend. What more could you ask for?
Exactly, and let's talk a little bit about this game. 34-29, like you said, in favor of the Ball State Cardinals. It was the rushing attack for Ball State that stood out on offense. Over 300 yards rushing. Quay Ashley put on a show. 12 attempts, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. But for you, Sam, what was your biggest takeaway?
Well, my biggest takeaway is, man, to start the game, it was a shootout. The first 4 drives for both offenses ended in touchdowns. 3 of them did. One of them was a blocked punt for New Hampshire on the Cardinals. But eventually, once both teams settled in on the offensive side, the Cardinals started with run game. They got it going on the ground, and they never looked back.
Yeah, like you said, getting it going on the ground indeed. So for Ball State in this game, 308 total rushing yards, 154 for Quay Ashley. Kyle Kelly had over 100 yards on the ground himself. How important was the rushing attack for Ball State's success?
It was extremely important. You've seen in the 2 previous games so far in the season, the air game, the passing attack has not really been there for the Cardinals. Kyle is more of a ground game quarterback. He's played defensive back, and he's also played a little bit of running back in previous seasons. So he's never been much of a thrower of the ball. And just to have his abilities, but also a back like Quay Ashley who can take a lot of those carries and get a lot of yards is super important.
Let's talk about Kyle Kelly. What a great performance from him. Just statistically, 100 yards on the ground, 100 yards in the air. That's the only time a Cardinals quarterback has done that since 2000. That's nuts to me. And not only that, 2 touchdowns in the air, an interception, sure, but it was a good performance for Kyle. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, good performance indeed, especially when the Mid-American Conference is a lot of hard-nosed football, built a lot of times on run game. But Kyle played amazing. I will say I would have loved to see a little bit more of usage. With the deep ball, maybe, he only threw the ball 15 times, completed 9 of those passes, so only missed 6, which is a really good day. And he was protected well. And like you said, anytime you can get a passer over 100 yards, especially in college football, you're going to set your team up when you're also rushing for 308 yards on the ground. So overall, Kyle, only really that one mistake, throwing that interception, I think he played fantastic. And you could tell he was really feeding off the crowd as well, playing in his first home game. And with being family weekend, I'm sure he had some family there. So, yeah, really good day overall for Kyle.
And I'll tell you what, one of my favorite parts of the game was that 2-minute drive to end the first half, 1 minute and 27 seconds, 75 yards down the field, a Cam Anthony touchdown pass from Kyle Kelly to end that drive. I think that really showed what Kyle Kelly can do.
Yeah, when you have his leadership like that, and he has the offense and hurry up, and he can command a drive like that while staying calm and remembering what the task is at hand is super important. And it wasn't like there wasn't anybody there. It was a little bit of a rainy day, I won't lie. I was sitting in the student section, got pretty soaked, but still, it was quite the crowd on hand. And like I said, a lot of family there, and you want to perform well, especially it being the home opener with a new era, with a new head coach.
You're right, it was rainy, and I couldn't have thought of a better time to be up there in the press box. It was the perfect day for it.
Very good, very true. I was jealous of you. I was looking up at you, saw you through the windows. I was like, man, I would kill to be up there right now.
But I will say, though, the defense, they're not going to get enough credit for this win as well. So who are some players on Ball State's defense that stood out to you?
Well, first off, credit to the defense overall. They have recorded at least 1 sack in every single game, and they are now 4th in the nation for team sacks. They have 11 on the year. Jack Beebe has 4 solo tackles. He only had 3 through the first 2 weeks, so he played an amazing game, led the team in solo tackles. But how can you skip Nathan Voris? He played amazing. He has now had a sack in every single Ball State game so far.
And obviously the big story is Ball State head coach Mike Uremovich getting his first FBS head coaching win as the head coach of the Ball State Cardinals. And he spoke to the media on Monday.
Excited to go play a good football team. Coach Moore has done a great job with this program. They were 9-4 last year. They're 1-2 this year, but they very easily could be 3-0 with 2 overtime losses. Offensively, the quarterback can make all the throws. He's got a real good stable of wide receivers. They're dynamic at tailback. They got home run hitters there, multiple guys. Defensively, they're really aggressive attacking style. They got 10 sacks on the year. And special teams, they have one of the best special teams coordinators in the country. They're very good and well coached on special teams as well. So it'd be a good challenge for us to go back on the road. And got in here yesterday, cleaned up a lot of the mistakes from the game on Saturday. Obviously, a lot of things went well, but a lot of things that didn't that we gave New Hampshire opportunities with. So we met on all that yesterday and moving on to UConn right now. Well, that's a positive. I mean, I talked about that a little bit Saturday, but you start the game with the block punt for a touchdown, so that right there is not the way you want to start. And then they fight their way back in the game, and then we give them the ball back one more time, and our defense has to get a stop. So proud that the guys kept playing, proud that they finished the game in the fourth quarter, which is something we talk about a lot. Would have liked to seen the offense. One of the things we talk about, if we get the ball back with 4.5 minutes left in the game and we're winning, we don't want to give it back, and having a punt there and give them one more opportunity is something we got to be better at offensively. We need to get 2 first downs there and not even give them an opportunity. I think that when I'm talking to the team in here, their faces look a little different coming off a win. But the first thing we talked about was, all right, this is Sunday, so we need to objectively look at this film just like we did the last 2 weeks. Whether you have said it in here after the first 2 losses, whether you win or lose on Sunday, we got to come in here. The emotion of the game is over. We have to analyze what we did good, what we did poorly, and how we can fix it. And I know they approach the meetings that way, and I know our staff did, and we're more critical of ourselves every week because we should be getting better and better, and the guys should be putting in more situations and know how to respond. So I think they handled that well yesterday, and we got to have a good practice on Tuesday.
Back in the BetCM Ross SportsLink studios with more Cardinal Kickoff. And now let's talk about next week. I mean, obviously, we can go through our victory lap all we want, but it's time to talk about the UConn Huskies. This is a team, it's been up and down for them. They're 1-2, but they fell short to Delaware last weekend, a 44-41 loss in overtime. It's back-to-back losses in overtime for UConn this season. So really, what's it going to take for Ball State to beat this UConn team, who had a great season last year under head coach Jim Mora, but this season kind of falling short of expectations?
I mean, yeah, you said it right there. Jim Mora has really brought this team back. They had 6 wins his first year, which is pretty good, and then only 3 in his second. But the last season having 9, and this year having 2 games they arguably could have won. You can tell he's kind of brought in the life back to campus. And touching on that again, 2 heartbreakers in overtime. Overtime in college football is a very unique situation. A lot of times it just doesn't go your way, and it's kind of a crazy situation a lot of teams find themselves into. But what I'm most looking at and looking forward to, especially as the Cardinals go to Stores, is the quarterback play from the Huskies. Fagiano balled out last game. He threw for 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. Definitely going to be an attack and going to test those Ball State defensive backs.
Here's what stood out to me about that last game against Delaware for UConn. Both teams combined for over 1,000 yards of offense. Isn't that something?
That is nuts. I mean, when any team goes above 500, it's crazy. But when both teams do it, and it's a shootout like it was last week, and then also Delaware State, brand new to FBS. The Blue Hens have never won an FBS game before, that was their second FBS win, but they've never played an entire season yet in FBS.
And I think it's worth noting, we have to talk about head coach Jim Mora and his track record. This guy, I mean, again, what he's done with UConn, incredible. Let's talk about Jim Mora and his history. Former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons from 2004 to 2006. He's a big part as to why Michael Vick is such a household name. Then at UCLA from 2011 to 2017, 2017, had quite a bit of success there. And now at UConn in his 4th season, he has done a lot for this program. Talk about quite the coaching battle. You got Mike Yuremovich for Ball State, fairly new to FBS, and then you got a legendary name like Jim Mora.
That's right, and one of the connections I'm kind of bringing between the two is Jim Mora comes to UConn, which is obviously known as a powerhouse in the NCAA basketball scene, and he's building them kind of into a solid team. Got 9 wins last season. Guess where Yuremovich is coming from? Butler, also known in the college basketball sphere as having those 2 NCAA Final Four appearances when Brad Stevens was the head coach. So both guys that are coming into situations or coming from a situation where the school is not known as much for their football, but trying to build up that program and so that they're respectable in 2 sports, the basketball and the football side.
And we have to address this. Such a big day for 2 Ball State Cardinals coming up against UConn. I'm talking about Nathan Voorhis and I'm talking about Alfred Shea. Both are former UConn Huskies. Nathan Voorhis was there for 1 season. Alfred Shea the past 4 seasons. So for both of them, emotions are high. What do you think is going through their head?
Oh, man. Well, especially for Voris with how well he's playing, I can't even imagine what he's thinking. Now, although he did play there in his freshman year, he probably doesn't remember the team as much. Probably a lot of guys have moved on since, but he definitely wants to get a win. If I were him, I would want to beat my old team and kind of show them how far I've come. And for Che, he played 13 games for UConn, so he knows that team like the back of his hand, and it definitely might bring up some emotions in him, whether that's pregame or postgame.
Yeah, and the good thing is we really don't have to imagine what they're thinking. We caught up with Alfred Shea earlier this week. Here with Ball State sniper Alfred Shea. Now, Alfred, such a big win for the team. What did it mean to you to get that first win of the season?
It meant a lot to me, to break the ice of winning the game here and feeling comfortable and knowing what it feels like to win. So hopefully we can move forward and keep building those wins, like keep stacking those wins, make more games, close out more games, so we'll be able to be in better position for the future.
And you're a very unique player. You're identified as a sniper. For those of you who don't know what that is, can you kind of explain that?
A sniper is like a linebacker, safety, DB kind of, but I play both linebacker and sniper, so it's more of a versatile position. Somebody that like a gadget guy, be able to blitz, play safety, play linebacker, play in the middle, play between the tackles. It's just versatile position.
Yeah, and finally, this is such a big matchup for you against UConn, playing against your former team. What are the emotions like?
I just like to never be too high, never be too low. I like to look at it like a regular game and just take the proper steps that I usually take and preparation. So continue to prepare and continue to be able to give my best effort on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Alfred.
All right, thanks.
Back in the Betsy M. Ross SportsLink studios with more Cardinal Kickoff. Joining us here, the creator of Together, a follow doc following Ball State football every week, Jude Kiefer. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to chat a little bit with you guys today.
Yeah, our first question is kind of way back at the beginning of Together. Where did this project originally draw from? And was it something you did previously in your time in the media sphere?
Yeah, so I mean, the end of last semester, it kind of became a possibility a little bit. There wasn't really anything really going on. I mean, there wasn't much going on with football before that. We did, our normal stuff with them, but we never got this far into it. So the end of last semester, I kind of saw it as a opportunity with a new staff, a lot of new people involved, and I realized if it was ever going to happen, now's the time to jump on it.
Yeah, and I have to point this out for the people. You're only a sophomore. That blows my mind. How are you able to build this skill set so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all about it's about the peers that we have in SportsLink. In my freshman year, I had a lot of good opportunities with women's soccer, with men's volleyball, and with our golf teams. I got to get involved with the idea of what this access looks like, how you're supposed to navigate it with coaches and athletes. There's a certain way you kind of have to act to get this type of thing done, but also get what you need. So I think there was a lot of people in my freshman year that, I nagged them enough that I could get opportunities, that I could get in a position where I could take on more workload. And then I'll just be honest, I don't think I was ready for this. At the end of last semester, I wasn't like, oh yeah, like I'm totally going to kill this or whatever. But like, when there's an opportunity, you just got to figure it out along the way. And I think that's what we've done in these first few weeks.
Yeah, and speaking of like how you go about it with SIDs, coaches, and this new staff, what has been the biggest challenge so far for you or the team that you've been working with?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily been the biggest challenge this year, but in the beginning, I think my biggest fear was that maybe being a student and a younger student, I'm a sophomore, I thought that, maybe they wouldn't take me seriously enough. They wouldn't believe in a student production. Obviously, at SportsLink, we do a lot. We have a good reputation. We do a lot of good stuff. But, an access thing like this is intrusive in a lot of ways. And I was afraid that maybe they wouldn't believe in my vision or what I could do. But, coming into this, we have a couple people that are our main contact points at football, and they really believe in who we are. They take care of the students that are involved. They want to give back to the students that are on campus beyond just in football. They are trying to get, different people in different departments involved with what they do. And, I really appreciate that.
And with all this new access too, I mean, and part of that is being pretty close to all these guys, being close to all these players, inside the locker room, all of that. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think with me personally, I've never been big on trying to insert myself personally into what's going on, the story that's unfolding, week to week with games and stuff. It's more of, as you would say, fly on the wall type stuff. Obviously, when we do those deeper things with players, when we actually, I'm in the car with them or we're going to their houses or whatever, there's obviously some type of relationship that forms. But you really realize very quickly, these are students at the same school that we go to. They live in Muncie. They go to class in the same buildings we go to. Like, when it comes down to it, they're the same as us in a lot of ways. And, when those relationships form, it's pretty natural, I would say.
Yeah, and going off of that a little bit, I'm sure you've made connections and relationships with a lot of the athletes. Is there a particular athlete that you've really enjoyed getting to know or filming with?
Oh, that's funny. We got our 4 main guys, and they're all I would say very different. Like, they bring a lot of different things to it. I've really enjoyed Darren Conley. We've done a couple of shoots with him. We're doing a shoot with him tomorrow. In his vegetable garden. Actually, it'll be out by the time this comes out.
That's right.
You guys will get to see that. It'll be out the next week. So in episode 5, next Thursday, we'll get to see that. But it's just funny because I would say more than anybody, he's kind of shown what it's like to be a human being outside of football. He takes academics seriously. He has all these other hobbies and that type of stuff. So I think he's been an interesting guy to be around.
And you've had the opportunity to film at so many great places so far this season. What's been your favorite to film at?
Oh, the shoe, right? Yeah, Schumann Stadium.
Of course.
Outside of Schumann Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn was awesome. Auburn was a great environment in general. I'm sure it's always awesome, but the night we were there, it rained pregame. I was so mad because I thought it was going to rain the rest of the game. It cleared up, and it ended up being an amazing night. Like, it was perfect outside. Sun came down, the lights come up, all that type of stuff, and then they put on a crazy, just the stuff they do in venue is really cool. But yeah, it's always Schumann Stadium.
Has to be.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of athletes, when they're playing in an environment like that, they get super nervous. Maybe they get the butterflies in their stomach. When you go into an environment like that, where it's a football team from the SEC conference, do you get nervous at all? Like, oh, I don't want to miss the shot. I don't want to miss. They have an eagle flying around. Do you get nervous at all?
I would say there's a little bit of that. I think, especially at Auburn, which we talked about, we were there 5 hours before the game started. So when we went out on the field, there's nobody there. So you see people start to piling in. It's more of like a progression. It gets busier and all that type of stuff. Purdue, I showed up. I came in on the team bus, got off with the team, and that's a little nerve-wracking because that's a loud stadium. For the amount of people they have in there, it's not as big as as an Auburn or whatever, but it gets super loud in there. So once you get there, you kind of get in your groove. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy coming out and seeing all that stuff.
So why are you doing this? I mean, this is such a big project. I mean, you're so early into your college career. Why are you doing this project?
That's a good question. I think when I started it, I didn't really know. I think I just thought, oh, this will make me big time. You know what I mean? I think when you're in college, you're always trying to prove something either to yourself or other people. I think in my freshman year, I think I proved a lot of the things to myself that I wanted to. But then this year, I think it was more just like, I'm here to challenge myself, and I'm here to learn new things, whether I'm ready for it or not. Like, I think I saw this as the best way to get where I want in my career in terms of growth, in terms of skill set, and obviously the connections with this program are great. So I think those things kind of set it up the right way for me.
Yeah, and from a school perspective, you're working probably somewhere in between a full-time and a part-time job. How do you balance still being that student and working on this documentary where you have 12, maybe 13, 14 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, credit wise, I'm taking full-time student credits. A lot of the classes we take in SportsLink, this is for that. So, that covers some of my bases, but I have online classes. My media professors are really understanding of what I'm doing. I get to kind of, use what I'm doing with this for those classes a lot. But it's definitely, you got to have your priorities. And I think in this situation, I know where my priorities lie. So,
Jude, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be right back in the Betsy M. Ross SportsLink studios. But before that, we had an interview earlier this week with Nathan Voorhees. Here with Ball State Football's Nathan Voorhees. Now, Nathan, obviously a huge win. What did it mean to get that win in front of the home crowd?
It means a lot. Obviously, first win of the season, but first win in front of the Ball State fans. It's great to have people on our side for once we're making plays. And obviously, the weather wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, but I'm happy that we had the showing of a crowd that we did, and we were able to put on a show for them.
How did the weather with all the rain affect how you performed and how you prepared?
So I think it might have affected me a little bit. Coming around the corner, and slipped a few times. But those are all things that just come with the game of football. We play it in the fall, so you're going to expect weather like that. I just got to perform as well as possible and just adapt.
In the fourth quarter, you did go down. You did get right back up. What happened during that sequence?
Kind of just landed on my shoulder the wrong way, but I had to get back up. I had to finish the game. I knew there was only a few seconds left, maybe a minute left in the game. I'm not sitting out for the rest of that. So I wanted it to be on me to make a big play, and I want to go there and contribute as much as possible. So I had to get back in there.
Obviously, big game this week, especially for you, because this is your former team you're playing against in UConn, going back home in a sense. What are the emotions like?
I think a lot of the emotions right now are I try to push them to the side. This game is something I thought about a lot in the offseason, but now that the game is here, I'm just preparing for it like any other week, really. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to myself and a disservice to Ball State football program if I treat this game if I treat this game any differently. You know what I mean? Obviously, when I step on that field, when I see that stadium I used to call home, maybe it's a little different, but I'm doing my best to push that all away so I can just play football.
All right. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Back in the Betsy M. Ross SportsLink studios with more Cardinal Kickoff. I'm Rowan Elbert. That's Sam Klug. Such a big week going up against UConn. But the next week, it's a bye week. Kind of weird for us, but at the same time, much needed for these players.
Indeed, everybody needs a rest, and Ball State has done a lot of traveling. You obviously go to West Lafayette, then you go all the way down to Alabama to play Auburn, and now you're going all the way to Connecticut. That's a lot of miles flown as well here in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the college football season. And these guys are already, getting beat up on the field. Guys are flying around, tackling each other. So, like you said, some much-needed rest.
And not to look too far ahead, the week after the bye week, we're back at Schumann Stadium taking on Ohio. That's going to be such a tough matchup. The reigning MAC champions, and not only that, this is a team that they beat West Virginia. They have a Power 4, Power 5 win, whatever you want to call it. And for some parts of their last game at the time of this recording against Ohio State, they kind of gave them a run for their money. It's going to be a tough matchup.
They did. They looked pretty good, especially in that first half versus Ohio State. They definitely have a quarterback who can throw the ball and are going to be threats against the Cardinals. And it's the MAC opener. What more could you want?
And I can speak for both of us. It just feels great to have that first win out of the way, especially at Schumann Stadium. It's been a fun one here on the Cardinal Kickoff. I'm Rowan Elbert. That's Sam Klug. This Saturday, the Cardinals take on the Yukon Huskies. And that's it for us. The Cardinal Kickoff is a Ball State Sports Link production.